Welcome to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast, where four 90s kids talk about all things gaming and nerdy. We dive into all the games, shows, movies we love to indulge in. We celebrate our favorites, and we make fun of a few duds along the way. I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by Daryl, Jordan, and Trevor. And here's just a small taste of what to expect on this week's episode.
Oh my God.
How dare you?
Nobody wants
How
that.
dare you?
Not even they want
I bet
that.
you, I bet you there's
those movies. No,
I bet you there's one
nobody wants
listener.
that.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Good Enough Gaming Podcast. This week's episode is entitled Mash Up Potatoes. No, it's not a food episode. What happened to the games that gave us the matchups of our dreams, where we didn't have to rely on Daryl for fantasy face-offs?
Yeah, that's right.
Ryu versus Captain America, Scorpion versus Batman, Wolverine versus MegaMan, Akuma versus Kazuya. This week, we wanted to take a look back at the greatest mashup fighting games of all times and come up with our own dream mashup games that developers can gladly pay us royalties for coming up with. Please. Who else wants to see a good crossover fighting game make a comeback? Me. What two franchises would you like to see pit against each other? Do we have the same opinion or idea, or do you just want to acknowledge our genius? Can I ask any more questions in this intro?
Nope.
All of this can be answered. So wrap those hands, throw on the gloves, and get ready for a bash-up mashup of epic proportions.
That's right.
Can we
Let's
just
go.
acknowledge that we've had a lot of very good ideas to the point where
Some of them have come to fruition, and I'm still waiting for my check, bitches.
Yeah.
Let's go.
the amount of times we've seen an official publication bring up the same topic weeks after us?
Yeah, it's kind of concerning, actually.
It ain't a
It's frustrating.
coincidence.
I mean, it
bitches.
tells us at least we're on the right track.
Yeah, like one of our dozens of listeners must work for a game company or IGN or something.
IGN's listening, I swear to God, because every time we record anything, it's like a week later. Then it's on their website, like this new article, and I'm like, "Hey, we just did that."
IGN, if you're listening, I'm not upset. Just put us on one of your podcasts.
Payrolls.
Yeah,
We
come on now.
we would love to be an official IGN podcast.
And we can fix some of your reviews.
All right.
These are terrible.
I'm gonna kick us off today from a very low point.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
And I just thought of this. We were just talking about this. Daryl's watching WrestleMania,
Yeah.
getting pissed off. I think we need to bring back Punch Out, guys.
Yes.
And we're bringing back Punch Out with the streamers. We're bringing back the boxing streamers. Play as your favorites. Beat up your favorite streamers.
Wait, that's going to be on Netflix in a month or so, isn't it? We get to watch Mike Tyson beat the shit out of Jake Paul.
Yeah, that's the dream.
If that's scripted and Jake Paul wins, like I'm gonna just give up on humanity.
Yeah,
Mike Tyson, do us all a favor, man.
First round knockout, please.
Knock that
Please,
motherfucker
please.
out.
Yeah.
Break all of his ribs.
Trev, I'm gonna counter your Punch Out, and say we need to bring back Ready to Rumble.
That's also a good one.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Classic series. But more importantly, where is my good Marvel versus Capcom? Like
You got one just a couple years ago, Kyle. What are you complaining about?
No. No.
You shut your whore mouth.
That game's like a 3 out of 10. That game is garbage.
Even-
I own it. I got mad at myself for buying it.
Even Marvel vs.
Oh,
Capcom
fuck.
3, like, it did not live up to MVC 2.
No.
Like, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is like one of the all-time greatest mashup fighting games.
Yeah, doesn't people still play it for a reason?
Yeah, no argument there.
Hands down. And I think they did that whole series dirty with 3. And what was the latest one called?
Infinite.
Yeah.
Of course.
Infinite was terrible. Honestly, I did like 3. I know a lot of people hated on it because they went to like a like a cell shaded graphics engine rather than.
I like that
old school.
animation.
I didn't mind the animation on that one either. It was fine.
I like that game. I played a fuck ton of that game. But
my issue was more the cast and the characters that they chose to be in it. I felt it was like lacking and wasn't as good as it could have been. You know?
Two is better. There's no argument.
Yeah, absolutely. But even looking back across that whole series, like Marvel vs. Capcom, we look at even like X-Men versus Street Fighter,
SNK
Marvel
versus Capcom.
Yeah, Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter. All of these games were phenomenal, and I distinctly remember like downloading MAME ROMs to play these arcade games on my laptop in university because they were so fun.
Yes.
Yeah. There was still
Those
an
are like
era
the
where
classics.
you could buy a fight pad for your fucking PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
What,
that was the last good generation of like add-on accessories. Rock band, fight pads,
every
just
game had some type of accessory.
goofy peripherals.
PS3 actually I felt like was the last era of the good mashup fighter because that had even Mortal Kombat versus DC. That was also Tekken versus Street Fighter, which is like a very underrated mashup fighting game.
So I'm glad that you brought that one up because it makes me sad. The whole idea behind that was they were supposed to do Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which they did.
Yeah.
And it was built on the Street Fighter engine. But the whole idea was they were always meant to make a Tekken Cross Street Fighter game that was built on the Tekken engine. And it never
would have been amazing.
Yeah, like honestly, between the two, I think the Tekken Fighter honestly would have been the better of the two. And it makes me sad that never came to fruition. Because I
think it was because they just didn't have the success of that crossover game that they wanted, which is such a bust. Because if you look at the competitive structure of fighting games, like those are the two top like titles.
Yeah.
Like Tekken to me has the best technical fighting skill, like fighting game there is, and probably has the most skilled professional fighters that play that. And then Street Fighter very close behind them, and kind of like the big competitors. So I'm sad that game didn't get the love and reception that I think it deserved. But
it's
again,
too bad because it
PS3.
is a good game. Like
it is,
and they wildly enough they even ported it to the Vita, and it plays amazing on the Vita. Like I probably put most of my hours played in that game were on the Vita, and it plays really well on that system.
It's so weird. Such an odd choice.
It was a cool mashup though, having like Akuma against
Kazuya.
Yeah, like there's so many cool components there, and like even the story mode was kind of interesting too. Like they try to do like a story mode in that game. Yeah, it's sad. I really wish we got the Tekken version. I think it would have been really good.
I agree.
So obviously, I mean, we talked about the major heavy hitters. I mean, Mortal Kombat crossovers too, and
DC. That's also like a fun game. Like it wasn't the greatest Mortal Kombat or whatever, but it was the lead into Injustice. So that is like that game has a soft spot in my heart because it gave me Injustice, which is such a sick franchise.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't get one without the other.
I have a bit of a worry and a gripe that some of these like multi-franchise fighters are now becoming these like free-to-play microtransaction ridden. Like looking at Multiversus, looking at PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale, looking at Nickelodeon Super Brawl, all these different things. These companies have been like, let's try and do what Smash Bros did, but we're going to fuck it up completely.
Yeah.
insert credit card here. Destroy game.
We have potential to try and keep up. I mean, Smash Bros is inevitable. Like it is.
Yeah.
Smash is like the pinnacle of that style of fighting game. Like, and there's nobody that can come close to it. Like,
since it first came out on the N64, that was crazy. That was generational, and they built such a franchise off of it in the fight community. And now other companies, obviously, in this corporate hellscape, are trying to piggyback off that and capitalize, and they are not doing a good job of it. They need to stop.
I mean,
to your point. Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, Daryl kind of hit the nail on the head already. Like, the PS3, Xbox 360 era is kind of like the sunset era to like just the fighting genre as a whole, because that was before everything started to turn into seasonal content. And like, as good as Mortal Kombat is right now, as good as the new Tekken is, as good as the new Street Fighter is, all of those franchises are built around seasonal and pay content. Whereas like back then, yeah, sure, there was still a little bit of that payment structure, but it was still in its infancy, and a lot of the characters were still unlockable. Like, you had to do a very specific thing in the game to get a challenge fight against that character, and if you beat that character, you unlock them. We haven't seen that in 2 console generations. And it's such a shame, because like that, to me, that was always the funnest part of fighting games growing up, was like
unlocking the next guy.
Yeah. And at that age where like the internet wasn't as popular of a thing, like I didn't even know that certain characters were in certain games until I got the big exclamation mark on my screen, warning, new challenger approaching. And this, and this fight starts, you're like, what? Like, this guy's in this fucking game, and your mind just fucking explodes. Like, we don't get that anymore. And it's such a shame.
No, it is. And especially with like, the marketing lead up to, new DLC. Like Daryl sent us clips of like Ermac the other day.
Yep.
It's like, there's no surprise portion to it anymore.
No, we've known Ermac has been coming to Mortal Kombat for months
since the launch. Like,
yeah. Like, same with like that. Peacemaker and stuff. Just
yeah. And I have a whole gripe on that for everything now, like social media and like the internet
Fortnite-ification of everything.
Well, I'm talking about the spoilers of everything. Like, you can't, I can't even be surprised about anything anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. You find out early advances. Oh, I saw a pre-screening. This guy shows up in this movie, like I got the script for this, and it's like, this is what's coming out, or I got like this information about this upcoming game. I saw it and everybody just posts everything. Like, nothing is there's no surprises anymore. There's no more like, oh shit moments where you're like, oh my, this is amazing, so great. Like,
no,
whatever.
It's because everything now is just postable content for views. He said from a podcast that they are posting for views. I understand the irony of my fucking statement, but like there's
no surprises.
No, there's no surprises. We're just 4 idiots talking to each other.
Yeah, that's like what we do.
Well, even remember the Doctor Strange multiverse thing when the leaks came out, and like you knew that John Krasinski was Mr. Fantastic and Patrick Stewart.
Let me be surprised.
Yeah, like the fact that was spoiled for so many people is such a fucking bummer.
Yeah, you have to actively avoid the internet, essentially.
Yeah, you can't even scroll Reels or TikTok anymore without getting everything spoiled.
Everyone's just picking every component apart, like in the Spider-Man trailer when they're like, "Oh, there's two shadows here, but there's no people there. That means it's the other Spider-Man." And it's like, just shut the fuck up. Just just leave it alone. Just
we get it. You know Spider-Man. Just keep it to yourself.
Just shut up. Just who cares?
Just over analysis for clickbaity content to bolster their views. Maybe we need to just do more clickbaity shit to get people.
By the way, visit the Good Enough Gaming page.
You'll never believe what he said.
So what were we talking about on this episode?
Oh, fuck.
Fighting games.
Fighting game master.
Okay, that's it.
Fighting spoilers and leaks.
Yeah. But no, you're bang on. Like I think that it's unfortunate that we've moved to seasonal. You have to purchase additional characters. That's for every game. Soul Calibur has it. King of Fighters has it. Like all of his other games have. You have to purchase more fighters. I don't think anyone's more guilty of that than any Dragon Ball Z game where you have to like purchase all of the different levels of Goku and Vegeta separately, which makes no goddamn sense to me at all.
Dumb.
But like, and that's got a game coming out again soon, like a pretty like the new Tenkaichi.
Another one.
A new Tenkaichi game, yeah.
So it's just stuff like that that's frustrating about the composition of the fighting game market right now. And I understand they have to make money and whatever, like anyone else, but just release a full polished game. Smash Bros. Has one of the largest rosters of characters ever, and it's a complete game. Like you go in and
it's on the Switch.
Yeah, that's what's baffling to me. It's like, well, this game is making insane amounts of money. Like if you just release something that didn't have extra content, maybe you'd sell more copies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is coming back around again, but we've seen that with like Baldur's Gate 3 and Helldivers, right? Like they released full games where everything is unlockable within the game, and people flock to it by the masses because they feel like they're like in this day and age, they're getting value for their money,
which is more important than ever.
Absolutely.
That's why this podcast is free.
Also, give us money, please.
Money, please.
Help me, I'm poor. All right, so let's get back on track here.
Yeah. Oh boy, this is an epic.
So let's just as we're on this first part here, what is everyone's favorite mashup game or couple games that they absolutely love the most?
I think I've made mine pretty clear with Marvel
vs. Capcom 2 is your
X-Men versus Street Fighter.
And we're talking purely mashup fighting game.
Purely mashup fighter.
Okay.
Nothing no standalone franchise fighting game.
Like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is definitely up there for me with Kyle. I think our generation, like we grew up with that. And it was at the time of like the X-Men animated series was out and like, all this other stuff. It just peaked at the right time. I think for me though, SNK versus Capcom is really high up there for me. My older brother, like we grew up playing Samurai Showdown, which is another great fighting game. And like, and we were huge Street Fighter fans in our household. So like the fact that those characters mashed up in a game, that was super cool as a kid growing up. So that one would be pretty high up there for me for sure.
I'm pretty much Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Like my prowess of fighting games stopped at Clay Fighter 63 1/3 and 64. So
classic.
That's where I'm coming from for folks here. I am not the expert.
It's a good game though.
Oh, hilarious!
Deeply racist character.
Deeply offensive.
There, yeah.
Well,
deeply offensive.
Everything was at that point.
Yes.
They were pretty loose with the rules back then. But,
yeah, we won't talk about Power Rangers again.
No. I actually think X-Men Street Fighter is my number one from childhood. Like I think that's the one I played the most in terms of mashup games that I got my sister to continually rent for me over and over again.
Nice.
And then honestly for me, close second is actually the Tekken and Street Fighter game for PS3, which I do own and I love that game. So
it's so good.
Yeah.
Man, I keep seeing Tekken highlights of King just like absolutely wrecking people, like perfect rounds by just grappling them the whole time with these moves, and just I would be so infuriated.
Oh, so many broken controllers.
Brutal.
Oh,
If I logged on after a hard day's work to just get
To that?
absolutely like raffle stomped by some fucker online who's been playing for 8 hours already.
Yeah, I've definitely made some people rage quit at Mortal Kombat. For sure.
I feel like Street Fighter and Tekken probably have the most like arcade fights back in the day, like
actual fist
you want to take this outside?
well, yeah, because like the arcade cabinets in like old arcades, those two games were always some of the most popular ones there.
Yeah,
and just so many contentious arguments,
and just for reference, arcades back then were just filled with like video game machines, not
Child gambling.
Ticket generators.
I mean, those existed too, but they were still better games.
Yeah,
there was way better. Like there was always better stuff.
They're not
Man, I miss Easy
mobile
Street.
game conversions. Oh my god, Easy Street.
right?
And it's like skee ball. Skee ball is
man. Whack-a-mole.
Skee ball is forever.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Oh man, so good.
I love
so
skee
good.
ball.
But so, what do you guys want to see? Like, if we were to bring back a game, and it would not even bring back a game, make a game,
Well,
what kind of mashup would you want?
I mean, this is the easy one for this group, and we've talked about it before. And let me acknowledge for listeners that we know this will never happen.
Yeah,
But
Yeah, none of these will probably ever happen.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like,
Never say never. Things have.
If we had our finger on the make it button, it would be Marvel versus DC.
Sounds like
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it. That's a no-brainer.
with the animation and like fight style of Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
See, I disagree with that.
I don't.
I want Marvel versus DC, but put it in the Injustice engine.
I'm the same.
I want like photorealistic. I want photorealistic characters and stages, and I want to be able.
I can
to,
see that.
Like just with superheroes, I want to be able to throw a dude through like 8 brick walls and transition into a new stage and keep fighting.
All I can envision is the Hulk just grabbing Batman and just like, boom, like But see, that's the one thing about like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that I really enjoyed was like they made it a bit more comic book-esque with, like stuff popping up sometimes. Maybe that was just me playing as Deadpool, but
yeah, but that would be on brand for Deadpool. Like that type of stuff should be in there for like.
And you could add that into anything.
Breaking the fourth wall.
I'm 100% on board. Who are your must-have? Give me like 2 or 3 must-haves for each side.
Ooh.
You have to have Iron Man.
Like
you
characters?
have to have Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yes,
Iron Man.
Wolverine is an absolute must.
Oh,
yes. And you have to have Captain America, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of the top 3. Yeah.
I was gonna say like Thor and Hulk would be nice, but like Iron Man, Spider-Man's more important than the rest of them. I take it back.
I would agree. I would say not to Thor. I feel like Thor would be boring to fight.
Hulk for sure, because you have to have like the Zangief, like the really big characters. There's always one or two like big characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that makes sense.
Eagles up against Bane. Like it's like that's what you need. You need one or Atrocitus or like somebody like that's large
Doomsday.
from the deep sea. Yeah, like 100%. Oh, Doomsday versus the Hulk would be sick.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got Batman. Bane would be great. Atrocitus would be great. I'd love Martian Manhunter in the game. He's like, there's like, think of like Shang Tsung. He can, mold into other fighters.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's Martian Manhunter is like, he could mold into the guy he's fighting against.
I mean, you're guaranteed to have Superman.
Yeah, that's like a staple of the franchise. But like
Superman's so boring though. He's a
I'm not saying I like
superhero.
Superman. I also
Just
think
saying he's going to
Superman
be
is
there.
I like he's gonna be there, and so is Wonder Woman. Like they're like the trifecta.
Yeah.
They're the number one trio of DC is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Like it's
Wonder Woman.
Green Lantern would be a fun one though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Green Lantern versus like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Okay, now wait. Now give me a couple of villains to include.
Ooh, Apocalypse.
Apocalypse is
That's like a
amazing.
boss fight.
Apocalypse and Darkseid would both be very cool.
I want Thanos versus Darkseid. Like that.
You could do Thanos as like same thing as like the Hulk is like your other big characters, just this big dude. Red Skull would be kind of cool.
Red Skull would be
a little too much Nazi.
I would love like
really.
You don't say. It's not like the whole lineup of Marvel characters. Like I know they're Walt Disney and there's some questions there, but it's not.
Now just purely for fan service, I would love Azrael and but I want the Nightfall Batman skin. Like I want to be able to change into
that just sounds like DLC costumes.
Well,
I don't
either
care.
that or obviously in Dream World it's all unlockable. But like this, like that's the whole point of superhero games is like the unlockable character skins.
Yeah,
like that's what you're fighting for.
Alternate
Really.
costumes.
Yeah, you're not fighting to win. You're fighting for skins.
That's why I'm still playing Mortal Kombat. Like that's I'm just collecting useless stuff, but I'm addicted to it.
I want my character to look pretty.
Like that was the cool thing about Injustice 2 is like the Flash had a skin for Reverse Flash. Yep. So like you could be the Reverse Flash, and they did that with a bunch of characters where they had one alternate that was like either the evil version or like the villain swap or
sick.
Yeah. On the same side, Kyle, as like Superman on the bad guys, you're 100% getting Joker, 100% getting Harley Quinn.
Yeah, probably.
Like
pretty easy staples of that universe. If you were gonna get like kind of weird, I would like to see like the Sparrow and
Hawkman.
Wow, Hawkman would actually be sweet to play as. Honestly, you could put like Hawkman versus Falcon would be very entertaining.
Yeah.
Mr. Zaz would be cool, just as like an obscure, like
lots of knives,
mass murderer. He uses
gotta have Dr.
knives
Doom
and stuff.
Yeah, Dr. Doom, Magneto, like Sabretooth would be cool.
What about Killmonger? Like Killmonger would be a pretty cool.
That'd be a more like a ranged. That's like a ranged cheese character.
As we were talking about this, they really like Injustice has its thing and very successful games, and I hope there's a third one eventually. Like I really do.
Me too.
They really need just a true Marvel fighting game. Like they need
MCU fighter. Yeah,
they just need an MCU fighting game. Like 100%. They're really missing out on something big here. Like because their other games have been kind of dog water. Like they're not good. Like
they have that, Daryl. It's Marvel Rivals.
Oh God, no. Okay, let's be real here.
Sorry, Marvel Overwatch.
Just an absolute dumpster fire.
Closest
I'm
we
talking
had is
an
Marvel
actual
Snap.
fighting game, not a.
I know Ed Boon, Daryl. Is that who?
Yeah, Ed Boon. Yeah.
Like I know Ed Boon is kind of teased that
he said it before. He wants to do it.
Yeah, like they want to do a Marvel version of Injustice, basically.
Yeah, like he wants.
Yeah, sign me up.
It'd be incredible. Like, and just including some other.
But unfortunately, when your parent company is Disney and everything's supposed to be fun and lighthearted,
but it can still be like that. It can still.
Yeah,
we just wouldn't have fatalities. Like, but Injustice doesn't have them killing each other. They have kind of major final moves, but there's not the ripping somebody's spine out of their ass.
No, there's no lobotomies happening in it.
No, finish him with a boo boo. Wink.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break here. We need a bit of time to ruminate, to relax, to recover, to maybe think of some other ideals off the beaten path here.
Vitalize. Oh, I got ideas. Don't worry.
And speaking of off the beaten path, we're gonna outsource here to Jordan for this week's episode of the Treasure Trove.
Treasure Trove.
All right. So we got another episode of the Treasure Trove. For any new listeners who maybe haven't heard my segment before, I have unofficially been given the title of the group as playing anything and everything, basically. And
give it to Jordan. He'll try anything.
Yeah. So I've now started to compile a list of all the indie titles and all the things that maybe don't necessarily get the love and marketing that some of the other games do, and things that I think that people would be kind of interested in checking out. So this week I figured I'd keep it on brand with our fighting episode, and to kind of throw Kyle in on the mix as well, because he kind of self-discovered it not too long ago, is a game called Sifu.
Yeah.
And Sifu is developed by a company called Slow Clap. The other game that was very well received but got almost no marketing or love is a game called Absolver, which is very similar to Sifu, kind of a light fighting game, but it had more multiplayer aspects. Like Absolver was kind of a 1v1 fighting game, but it was wrapped in an arena fighter. So it was kind of an odd mix. But a lot of people really like that game. So anyway, Sifu is basically like a kind of a gritty, almost like a Jackie Chan like underground Tokyo fighting game, but it's got an interesting mechanic to it where every time you die your character gets older, and so every time you die you revive back into that level, but you've aged I think a lot of the time you age like 10 years or something.
Less than that.
Is it less than that?
Yeah.
But it's really cool. Like they've got some roguelike elements into it. So as you go along, you can unlock different abilities, different buffs and perks. As you die in age, you get less starting health, but you do more damage.
Yeah.
And so it's like this risk reward thing of like, okay, I'm kind of getting my ass kicked. The game's going to help me out a little bit by letting my punches and kicks hit harder, but I also can't take as many hits as I used to.
And the other interesting thing is when you choose to build your character at the start, you can choose to be male or female, and that impacts your starting damage and health as well.
Oh, interesting.
Where the male version has more damage but less health, whereas the female version has more health but less damage.
Interesting. But then the aging mechanic is like old man strength. Like
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
That's exactly it. And so the cool thing about the game is at first it comes across as being very like almost Streets of Rage side scroller. Like, oh, this is just going to be a button mash fest. You know, I'm going to go in. Combat's going to be like a Batman Arkham, Spider-Man type thing. They're just going to surround me with a bunch of enemies. I'm going to just be countering and button mashing. And, you know, that's what the game's going to be. And in certain aspects, there is a little bit of that. But what you find out pretty quickly is a lot of the fighting actually does come down to like 1v1 fighting game mechanics. Like there's times where you're doing very specific button inputs. You're countering with different stick movements based on how the enemy's approaching you. They take into account environmental stuff as well. So like if you have this big brute charging at you, like you can counter that. And if there's like a concrete pillar behind you, you can essentially use that guy's momentum and throw his head into the concrete pillar. Yes. And just like smash his face in and stuff. You can grab like beer bottles off the counter and you can smash people with beer bottles and things. Like the environmental takedowns are super cool.
I remember sending you guys a couple clips of like the one where I like smashed a dude into a desk, and it was, and just the use of the environmental stuff is so cool and makes me feel like I'm in a martial arts film, like a more serious Jackie Chan.
Yeah,
like a Jet Li movie.
Yeah,
there you go.
Totally.
That's the one.
Yeah, Jet Li, more serious Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
Well, they're both martial artists in
martial arts movies.
Yeah, Jackie Chan is just more goofy with his movement, and
correct.
But it's just one of those cool games. Like if you want to just quickly like jump in and kind of mess around and have fun, like you can do that, and you can button mash to a certain point of being successful. But then for those people that really like to study kind of the intricacies of certain games, at its core, this is a fighting game. Like it is a 1v1 fighting game that has counters and takedown moves and specials. And it reminds me more of Street Fighter, where like rather than attacking first, maybe it's better off if you just kind of sit back a little bit and wait to see what the other person does and then react to that. And so the game can be crazy hard at times. The boss fights are pretty fucking tough. But this game, it gives you what you put into it. You know, if you want to take your time and learn all the kind of little itty bitty pieces, it's going to reward you for that.
A true master.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're interested in that kind of game and you like, you know, old school, you know, kung fu movies and all that kind of stuff, check out Sifu. I know it was free on PS Plus. I don't know if it still is, but
check it out.
Check it out.
I was telling coworkers about it, and they missed the download by like a day.
Oh, bro.
Shit.
Yeah. Still, like even at like $20-$25, still 100% worth it.
Check it out.
I want to go back and play more.
Really good game. Yeah.
All right. Bringing it back to our fighting realm and our ideal mashup fighter. We've covered the heavy hitter of, you know, Marvel versus DC.
Yeah, that's
or even just a true
pipe dream.
Oh my God, that would be. It would settle so many arguments.
Would it?
It would create more arguments. You could even set it to like computer versus computer, and just like
simulation
bets and sim mode, and sit back and watch and argue with your friends.
You can make a whole YouTube channel just on simulated.
It's fantasy face-off material to the extreme.
Copyright that when it comes out. Well, that's our content.
Online gambling. Yeah.
Awesome.
Gambling on
simulated fighting game fights.
Simulated superhero fighting game. Great. So going off the beaten path then, what other franchises do you think could potentially make a good fighting game? Like we've seen Smash Bros be successful with essentially grabbing any and all Nintendo IP to throw in one game to fight each other. We've seen PlayStation try it with their All-Star Brawl, All-Star Battle Royale.
Wasn't good.
No
good.
Bueno.
I loved it, but it wasn't good.
Multiversus is, I mean, they released their beta, and then it came back out again.
Garbage.
Gotcha City. Money.
Nickelodeons.
No.
Why?
We're just gonna leave that.
Just keep going past it.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't want to fight someone.
I don't want the
Patrick
Smash.
Star.
If you're gonna come after the Smash Bros and you're gonna like try that style, like
your best come correct.
100%. Like no, for real. Like if you're gonna come after them, you've got to do it right. Like no more of this like fucking around and trying to build something free to play and then just hosing everyone with an incomplete, inconsistent, and sort of, you know, lackluster product. So if you're gonna do it, you've got to do it full tilt. So
give me Astro's All-Star Brawl.
Yeah.
There's a character that shouldn't be in a fighting game.
Right. Versus Sackboy. Just
That'd be awesome.
Oh, and just slaps.
Just the slaps with the frying pans.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be like I've had these sort of matchups, but like with the resurgence of everything coming back from the 90s, like I thought it'd be wild to have like a complete cartoon, like fully versus thing. Ninja Turtles, Street Sharks, Gargoyles, Mummies
Biker
Alive, Biker Mice from Mars, like all of them, one game, like
Samurai Pizza Cat.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
just call it Saturday Morning Brawl.
Yeah.
Like all of those were
that's a perfect name.
Like was
This
that
is it.
Cartoon,
This is our $1 million idea.
Copyright.
like, was
The
that
background
Cartoon
is just
Network, or-
that vaporwave cup logo,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
design. It's the blue and pink cup.
Yes.
Yeah,
Some-
like I think
some
all those
90s
shows hit the
mall
Cartoon
aesthetics.
Network. So let's just get a Cartoon Network fighting game, like
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
like
I mean,
a
it's like
real one.
Nickelodeon, right? But like good.
or
Yeah.
YTV. Those were all on YTV back in the day.
I had another one that would settle some debates talking about like fighting game or like character debates because this game didn't do so well. So there was Pokken, which is Tekken
Yes.
Pokemon.
Okay.
Pokken Digimon. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
Except
I mean,
like what Pokemon is gonna live through a
against a fucking
Digimon fight?
Gatling gun. half the Digimon evolved to be essentially Barrett from Final Fantasy. He's got a fucking
Yeah.
gun arm.
Every single
yeah.
Digimon has a rocket or a gun by the end.
Yeah.
It's like
Against
poor
an ice cream cone.
Pokemon are fucked.
Yeah. A Digimon
got a machine
like,
gun against a
solo
fucking ice cream
fighting game
cone.
would be sweet though. Like a
Those have
standalone
existed.
Digimon.
I've played them,
Yeah, but that's like
and they're good. Those
Yeah.
those have to come back too because those games were good.
was it PS2 was the final one or was it PS1? Because I played them on the
last
PS1.
one I played was on
think.
PS1.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
so
are
it's
good
been a
games.
while.
I like those.
Digimon's kind of died in general. So
Yeah.
I think like a Bloody Roar revival.
Yeah.
Kyle,
Bloody Roar
speak of
versus
language.
Animorphs.
So good. That'd be
Oh
awesome.
my god!
Or even
I think it would be funny to have like Bloody Roar versus the Power Rangers because like both of them start as people and then can
Yeah.
power up into
And
like
yeah.
the next thing.
Just no mechs.
What was that other fighter that was all like Primal Rage?
Yes.
Primal
Rage
Rage
was
was
another
all
one.
animals.
Bloody Roar and Primal Rage.
That mashup.
The secret unlockable character is
Actually,
the guy
Bloody
from Turok.
Roar-
Right.
Turok, yeah.
Bloody Roar would do well against Killer Instinct.
Oh,
yeah, good call.
that's a
Very
good
similar type of
crossover.
vibe between the two for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
And you could do either battle system. I wouldn't care. Like if you do the
Yeah.
I feel
fully
like it would
dimensional.
run better on Killer Instincts.
Yes, like I do feel like it would run nicer in that regard overall because Killer Instinct is also a great fighting game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's my favorite franchise on the N64.
yeah, really
One
good.
on the one on
Black
Xbox
cartridge.
from a couple years ago was
Sick.
pretty good too.
No, it's great. I still play that game. I think that like I loved Bloody Roar. Bloody Roar was so good. It just got weird. Like, and they just, I don't know. Bloody
It
Roar
lost the plot.
It lost itself.
So
Think of
Trevor made a comment
Uh-oh.
and we kind of ran past it, but mechs. I would love to see like a Transformers versus Gundam Wing.
Fuck,
Yes!
Mashup.
just either one
Yeah.
by themselves. I was like Transformers fighter. Like, why not?
Yeah, like I think that would be cool as shit. Turn it into like an arena fighter, you know, where you can pick up buildings and throw them at each other, and
Like Gigabash.
Just like
Well, there was a Transformers game a couple years ago now.
I'm trying to
remember the
think.
name of
It's
it.
kind of similar to.
And
that
it was like a
game.
city, right? You would go around, you'd do like a mission in a city, and then you would just potentially fight somebody. But it was like drawn as an 80s, 90s cartoon. It was
Oh,
very
yeah.
interesting style. It just was not a great game. But like, even if you kept that but updated it, it would be kind of cool.
yeah,
Transformers versus Beast Wars, like the game.
yeah,
Well,
like you could do a
Wars
Transformers
DLC.
universe.
It's inevitable.
Yeah. The other one that I thought paired up really well together is Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. Like those two franchises I thought would be really interesting.
That would do well. I actually think that would sell well.
There's a couple, like, I know they've done some like weird spin-off, like for some of the anime shows that are out recently, but like there's some interesting ones that you could do that are kind of similar, right? Like you could do Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, right? Like throw in Dragon Ball Z, throw in any of those, like throw in fucking Sandland, right? Where you've got like Elzebub.
Well,
kind of a DBZ character.
Like Kyle, like I had written down too, One Piece versus Demon Slayer. Like that was another one where I was like, those universes are very interchangeable. Like to Trevor's point, you could fucking pick any of the dozen different.
I feel like Avatar would like go well into a fighting game too, just with the different like elemental bending and stuff.
Avatar and Naruto would be like, because Naruto has a lot of elemental stuff in it too. Like definitely some crossover there.
You could do some mashups there. That sounds like licensing hell, but it sounds like it would for some reason, because it's all within like Japanese anime. It's like, I feel like it's possible. Like it could get done.
It's like, is it Crunchyroll that
who owns it? Who actually owns it? Yeah.
Is it them? Is it Bandai Namco? Because they seem to fucking do every like Japanime type game. Like,
I also want like I've always wanted it, and I like. Because both of them kind of go on that 3-axis fighting. I always wanted a Tekken versus Soul Calibur. Like, and I
forgot about Soul Calibur.
I know that like they're very kind of different universes and powers and stuff, but I always thought that would be such a good mashup game. Was those two, because they have the same sort of like 3-dimensional platform mechanic of fighting.
It would absolutely never, ever happen. But a Soul Calibur Final Fantasy fighting game.
Oh, would be
like
sick.
So many Final Fantasy characters lend themselves to like a really sweet Soul Calibur style game.
I would just love a Final Fantasy fighting game of like everyone from across the like the Dissidia
they've done that.
was a good game or whatever, but I don't want that style of the fight, like, because that is very map transversal like fighting style.
Right.
And kind of reminiscent of like the battle styles from like 15, I guess. Like you could jump in the air and do all kinds of combos.
Oh God, none of that.
I would rather like a side to side,
like Mortal Kombat.
Yes,
like traditional fighter.
I would rather a traditional fighter,
just with big ass weapons.
Yes, that's sick.
Two franchises that again they would pair really well, but just kind of randomly popped into my head was Final Fight versus Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like that'd be a cool fighting game too. There's not enough big names for it to like catch the attention of kind of.
Well, Streets of Rage characters just need to enter King of Fighters because because like the other guys like oh God, his name keeps escaping me. It's the blonde dude. Where's the red cap?
Oh, I don't remember his name. I see his face though.
Damn it! I always forget it. The worst.
I have absolutely no clue who he's talking about.
Anyways, like he's already in King of Fighters. Like he's already in it. So I think you just add the Streets of Rage people like into that because Final Fight's already in it. Like just. Throw them in with that game, because that game has like people from other games too. It's kind of one of those weird. You don't think it's an amalgamation of things, but it is.
Now, I don't know if this would be considered a fighting game, but if we could, I mean, recently we've had a lot of new monster movies that have done really well. Can we do a new Rampage World Tour?
Yes, that'd be
please,
awesome.
Like Kong, Godzilla. Like any of the big monsters. I'm trying to think of other like big monsters.
Not The Rock.
Just The Rock as himself. Just
he's the final boss. That's his new thing.
You could throw in some like kaiju from Pacific Rim.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like and some of those mechs and stuff.
Oh man, Pacific Rim would be
similar to what was that? What was the one that was it Gigabash? What was the one that we played?
Yeah. Gigabash had all these DLC for Godzilla in it.
Right, like throw in Mothra, like some of the classic like Godzilla enemies, like mech Godzilla, like that'd be freaking hilarious. But like with a budget instead of what Gigabash did. But
Gigabash wasn't a bad
It was
game.
fun. It's goofy and fun. It's definitely just not the same.
No, but like, yeah, to do something like that and do like a legitimate story and like, you know, triple A the whole thing, like that would be a ton.
I would rather double A it because those studios actually care.
Wow,
correct.
Sorry, they're not at the mercy of their corporate overlords.
Kyle's like the person who only shops at the farmer's market with video games.
Is this locally sourced?
Local, fresh.
Was this made organically? I can't.
Do you pay your workers fairly? Do they work under crunch?
Is this farm to table? Because if it's not, I don't want any part of it.
This is dev to console.
Dev to console. I'm sorry. We've just seen the rise of such good games from independent studios.
Oh, I love it. But it just sucks because with all of these, it's like you would need so much licensing.
Oh my God.
That absolutely nobody would agree to.
Well, and that's why a lot of these have never happened, right? I'm sure we're not the only ones that have had these ideas, but then
it's all us.
You have some board meetings discussing some of these things.
You figure out the logistics of it all, and you're like, fuck, I got to pay this company $20 million for one character. Well, okay, maybe that's not worth it.
Oh my God, just imagine like the lawyer, like the corporate lawyers having to deal with that. It was like,
it'd be a nightmare.
Awful.
Yeah.
I would love to see, like, even within Nintendo, if Nintendo did a non-Smash fight game of like the Mario franchise or any of their own franchise, like
Mario just beat the shit out of Peach.
Yeah, I mean that's probably why it would never happen.
Maybe cut that.
Yeah, but like you can get
Donkey Kong just bitch slapping,
just a shy guy, just
wham.
Who's curb stomping Toad?
I just had like
I mean that was my first thought too, Kyle. I was like, it's got terrible optics.
You're gonna offend somebody.
Violence.
Donkey Kong just slapping Toad across the face.
Maybe you like stick to different franchises. Like I was thinking of having like variations of Mario, right? Like you could have regular Mario, you could have super like Sunshine Mario where he's got the jetpack. You've got Steel Mario.
Your shit kicked by Tanuki Mario.
His little fucking butt plug tail
in the boots.
Roundhouse kick to the face.
Oh my God.
Fuck, that'd be funny.
And one Luigi. Just one
Luigi.
Just
all
one
these variations of everybody else, and
you
just
get
Luigi.
Spooky Luigi's Mansion.
No. There's like 10. There's 15 different Marios and one Luigi.
That's all you get.
It's just middle child syndrome.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about it before, but there are a lot of franchises that should adopt the Super Smash Bros. Formula. Like Smash Bros. Ultimate, adding every character and every stage from their previous games and putting it into one. It's genius. And a lot of these fighting games that have been around for 20 plus years, they should all be doing the exact same thing.
Capcom could have a standalone. Could have a standalone crossover fighting game.
They could have their own console dedicated to that shit. They've got so many characters.
Capcomicom.
Sure.
KFC computer.
KFC console.
It's the only game for the KF console.
There you go. Now I had two funny mashups that have no business being games, but I was making this list at like 1:30 in the morning, so it is what it is.
He was lucid, people.
Delirious from his travels.
Ron Swanson versus Dwight Schrute. I don't know.
The Office versus The Office.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. And
every stage is just different offices from different shows. So it's
Paper versus Parks.
And then the other one for any female listeners is the Vampire Diaries versus Twilight.
Oh my God.
How dare you?
Nobody wants
How
that.
dare you?
Not even they.
I bet you there's
those movies. No,
I bet you there's one listener.
That.
There's one listener that's like, yes.
I've been trying to solve this argument for years.
How dare you, sir?
No, You've sullied our podcast with that suggestion. That is terrible.
Oh my god.
I wanted to offend somebody. That's what I'm here for.
It's fair.
Oh my lord.
I'm just going to shut it down right now.
Yeah.
Podcast over.
Podcast
Forever. We're shutting down.
Yeah.
This is our announcement.
This is it.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
This is our canon event.
Okay, to bring it back to a more positive note, this is for Daryl. I'd love a Justice League Dark versus like an Evil Avengers type game. I think that'd be cool too.
Ooh.
I always said Justice League versus Avengers would be like a good like title for that.
You're just back to Marvel versus DC.
Well, you are. But the reason why I thought about the dark and evil version is because you could then lean into the Mortal Kombat and have like fatalities and
could be pretty gruesome with it if you went.
Yeah, like you could go super dark with it. So I think
this
that
isn't regular Captain America. This is dark Captain America.
This is U.S. Agent.
You could throw Thunderbolts in there too.
Yeah. Like I thought that could be an interesting component.
Like it'd be dope if like Venom just fatality ate someone's head right off of them, like just
like from the game.
Yeah.
That's like
That'd be so cool.
He was just craving some lunch.
God, that's a good part of the game.
Good
spoilers.
Game.
If you haven't played it by now,
all right,
what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing with your life?
I feel like we had a solid brainstorm sesh here tonight.
We did.
Guys.
We came up with some great ideas.
I trademark all of them.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
There are intellectual property. If you want to
Bandai
use
Namco,
any of it,
email.
We don't own. We don't own any of the franchises or games.
No,
we own the idea.
We have ideas. We are liaisons,
and we don't know how to develop a game either. But hey,
no.
See you next board meeting.
Our finder's fee is $500,000 each.
Oh my god!
Wow,
this is bold.
I don't know. Here,
I'll take a 20 and a high five.
Hey man, you gotta aim for the stars in this economy.
Copy of the game.
Can I get like a McDonald's Happy Meal and like a review copy of the game when it comes out? I'm cool.
Yeah. Oh god.
Good job, boys. Good job.
We did it.
So, moral of the story: Marvel versus DC. Make it happen, because
please, Ed Boon, you're the man.
Grant us this boon.
I'm really surprised Jordan to bring up a Spawn mashup.
Well, Spawn could be part of that whole game.
That's true.
Yeah.
I've gotten Spawn love in every Mortal Kombat game, so that's like I wouldn't be surprised if Spawn ends up in the latest Mortal Kombat again.
Eventually.
At some point.
It was very successful in the 11.
He's great in those games, though.
Yeah. All right. I got to cut you off. Otherwise, we'll just reminisce here for another 45 minutes. Once again, folks, thank you all for joining us very much. It's been fun.
Let us know if we missed anything.
Yeah. Is there any franchise that we should have talked about? I thought we hit all the major ones, but message us. Let us know. Send us angry DMs. Who knows? If you've listened this far, good for you. I think that's good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah, good enough.
Down, forward, high punch. Good enough.
Hadouken.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We also invite you to write an email or join us on Discord to talk about anything from our episodes or something else you would like to discuss in the future. Please subscribe to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.